there's a national teach-in today on global warming that's taking place in hundreds of campuses on college and in high school alike all across the country. In my district, Brandeis University has asked me to participate, but rather than me teaching them, I thought it would be important to let Congress hear from the students. So today at this hearing, I'm going to put Brandeis University in the chairman's seat and ask a question sent to me by Matthew Schmidt, who is a sophomore and who heads the Students for Environmental Action at Brandeis. Here's the question. After World War II, the United States played a crucial role in the rebuilding of Europe. Has the time come for the United States to consider a similar role in spreading clean energy technologies throughout the world? Mr. Derringer.
I would say absolutely, but the United States will not be in a position to do that on its own. Obviously, it will need to work in partnership with other developed countries and potentially with other developing countries who increasingly have the financial and technological wherewithal to assist in the diffusion of technology worldwide. I think it's also interesting to reference the institutions that emerged in the post-World War II environment. We are now approaching a point where it's time to reconsider the mission of those institutions. And I think that in moving forward on technology to address climate change, it's worth considering reinvention of the Bretton Woods institutions and making this one of their missions going forward so that we can move beyond the traditional donor-recipient model, as Ms. Harbert put it, to a new model in which countries work in partnership to advance the types of technologies we need.
Mr. Bradley.
I think a sort of a reservation on that model is that, as Ms. Harbert has been saying, it's not as though the U.S. sort of owns all of these technologies and it's a question of transferring them overseas. And I do think that some of our international partners don't completely understand that. And certainly, I think some commentators and certainly some climate negotiators imagine that we have a lot of great technologies in a basement somewhere that we're deliberately not sharing. This is more of a collaborative effort. But I do think that the model that is going to work and the model that ultimately will invalidate some of the sort of longer projections that we see in models, the thing that isn't captured in models is that we must get to a point where some of the technologies that are going to let us have zero carbon energy really break through to the point of competitiveness. The one thing that can do more than anything else in the world to drive that is by setting a carbon regime in the United States which will allow the world's biggest, most technologically advanced and most innovative economy to start really pushing those technologies forward. That will be America's biggest gift to the world. The technologies that ultimately will drive that revolution will come from all kinds of places, but they will come from America more than from any other single place. So does America play a role in a way that looks exactly like the Marshall Fund? Not quite, but does America play that incredibly important core role in driving an energy technology revolution? I certainly hope so.
Ms. Harbert.
I guess I would make three comments to the wonderful question posed by the student. First, we are investing less in clean energy R&D in this country than we did since the 1970s. So we have not put our money where our mouth is. And we need to be serious about not just the R&D, but as you said, in the deployment and providing the incentives out there to actually have these technologies penetrate the marketplace, which will generate exports and generate an innovation revolution of clean energy. To do that, we need sufficient loan guarantees in this country. We need a clean energy bank. We need production tax credits that will incentivize. There's a lot of financial instrumentation that is very valuable that could be put in place absent having an overarching mandate. Secondly, he brought up World War II. Our infrastructure in this country was built right after World War II, and we really haven't done anything to modernize it since. And if we're going to have a growing economy and fuel and economic recovery, we've got to get serious about infrastructure in this country. Otherwise, we're going to have brownouts that certainly would not do anything for our economic recovery. And we can demonstrate huge leaps of technology in our electricity grid since it has not really been modernized since World War II. And that will certainly help with the 1.6 billion people that don't have electricity around the world to have it in the advanced technology state. Last but not least, and maybe the most important, is this question came from a student at a university, and we are not graduating enough scientists, enough engineers, enough math students to actually have the intellectual feedstock we need for the innovative transformation that we need. We need more engineers, we need more scientists, we need more academic institutions that have teachers that are capable of doing that. It starts in pre-kindergarten all the way through PhD. So we've got to get serious about the intellectual foundation of what we're talking about here, because we don't have the people that we need about all these goals that we're talking about. So we talk about importing oil all the time. We're going to be talking about importing all of our intellectual feedstock to fuel this revolution, and that really won't sit well here at home.
Thank you, Ms. Harbert, very much. And we thank the Brandeis student for his question. You know, President Kennedy in his inaugural obviously uttered that famous statement, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." But he also then followed it by talking to the world and saying to the citizens of the world, "Ask not what the United States can do for you, but what we can do together," working for the goal of freedom and progress in the world at large. And I think here we have many countries that will be able to contribute. Germany is the leader in photovoltaic solar technology, and Denmark the leader in wind. And obviously, there are many parts of the world that can play leadership roles, with the United States, of course, as the largest industrialized country, hopefully playing the largest role of them all.